The Harmattan wind moved through the narrow streets of Lagos like an old storyteller, carrying whispers from one compound to another. It was the early 1990s, long before mobile phones became part of everyday life, and before the internet changed the city forever. Neighbors still gathered beneath mango trees to share stories. Children filled dusty roads with laughter, and every radio carried voices that connected the community. Hidden among these familiar streets stood a modest house where the life of a remarkable young woman was about to change forever. Morenike was only 19 years old, yet her eyes carried dreams far beyond the streets she called home. While others saw an ordinary young woman, she quietly imagined a future that few around her could even understand. Deep inside, she believed the world was hiding possibilities, waiting to be discovered. Mama Efunroye had carried the traditions of her ancestors for decades. Widowed many years earlier, she believed life followed a path that had guided generations before her. Respect, marriage, family, and honor. These were the foundation. But Morenike dreamed of something entirely different. While many young women around her imagined weddings and family life, she found herself captivated by machines she barely understood. Somewhere inside those mysterious devices, she believed the future was waiting. The first time Morenike saw a computer was inside the government office where her mother worked. To everyone else, it was simply another machine resting on a desk. But to her, it looked like magic, waiting to be understood. From that day forward, curiosity became determination. She borrowed every book she could find, asked endless questions, and saved every naira she could spare. While others prepared for marriage, Morenike prepared herself for a future she was determined to build. Mama Efunroye announced that a respectable businessman named Kunle had asked for Morenike's hand in marriage. The words struck like thunder, leaving the young woman frozen in disbelief. Morenike gathered her courage and spoke the truth. She did not want marriage. She wanted to continue studying computers. Her grandmother could scarcely believe what she was hearing. To her, dreams could never replace the security of tradition. For the first time, love between them gave way to painful misunderstanding. As arguments continued at home, something extraordinary happened just a few streets away. An internet cafe opened its doors. While many dismissed it as foreign nonsense, Morenike saw something entirely different. She saw possibility. Inside the cafe, Morenike touched a computer connected to the wider world for the very first time. Every click revealed new possibilities. Every lesson strengthened her determination. Without realizing it, she had taken the first step toward a future that would change not only her own life, but the lives of countless others. Each visit to the internet cafe revealed a world she had never imagined. She learned how emails crossed continents in seconds, discovered communities of programmers, and realized that people everywhere were building the future through technology. Every lesson made her dream feel a little more possible. Recognizing her dedication, Tunde offered Morenike a small job helping customers around the cafe. The pay was modest, but the real reward was unlimited access to the computers she loved. To her, it felt as though destiny had quietly opened a door. Kunle was not accustomed to rejection. Wealth had taught him that nearly everything had a price, and Morenike's refusal only made him more determined. What began as a proposal slowly became an obsession. Expensive gifts began arriving almost every week. Beautiful fabrics, fine jewelry, generous food supplies, and envelopes of money filled the house. Mama Efunroye saw kindness. Morenike sensed something far more dangerous hiding behind the generosity. One afternoon, a university student named Chinedu walked into the cafe. Bright, curious, and passionate about technology, he carried the same excitement that burned inside Morenike. Their first conversation lasted only minutes, but it felt like the beginning of something special. Their friendship grew quickly. Together, they explored programming, shared ideas, challenged each other to learn more, and imagined building software that could improve people's lives. For the first time, Morinike no longer felt alone. As the months passed, friendship quietly blossomed into love. They spoke endlessly about their dreams, encouraged one another through every challenge, and imagined a future built on hope instead of fear. Together, they dreamed beyond the limits others had placed upon them. They believed technology could transform lives, and they believed their own future would be built side by side. For a while, happiness finally felt within reach. One evening, after the cafe had closed, Morinike returned to collect something she had forgotten. As she neared the back office, unfamiliar voices stopped her in her tracks. What she heard next would change everything she believed. Every opportunity she thought had come through hard work suddenly looked different. Kunle had secretly funded the cafe, paid for access to her life, and manipulated the people she trusted. Even Tunde had become part of the deception. Heartbroken and betrayed, Morinike walked into the night, wondering if anyone had ever truly believed in her. Days passed without a word from Chinedu. No visits, no letters, no explanation. At first, Morinike believed he was simply busy, but as silence stretched into weeks, hope slowly gave way to worry. One afternoon, fate answered the question she had feared to ask. Across the crowded marketplace, Chinedu appeared, but he was not alone. Laughing beside another woman, he walked forward without even noticing the person whose heart he had left behind. When Morinike confronted him, the truth emerged. His wealthy parents had arranged a marriage that promised influence, money, and powerful connections. Faced with a choice between love and ambition, Chinedu had chosen ambition. Grief became her constant companion, yet she refused to abandon the one dream that had never betrayed her. Even when everything else fell apart, knowledge remained faithful. So she kept learning. One quiet evening, while organizing customer files, Morinike stumbled upon documents that were never meant to be seen. Hidden inside the computer were financial records exposing a network of corruption far greater than she could have imagined. Knowing the danger, she copied every file onto a set of floppy disks. Each document carried evidence capable of exposing powerful businessmen. Every second she remained in that office increased the risk. When Kunle discovered the files had disappeared, panic swept through his organization. He immediately suspected Morinike. What had once been an attempt to control her now became a desperate race to silence her. The threats began quietly. Anonymous letters appeared without warning. Strange men watched her from street corners. Every journey home became a test of courage as fear settled into her daily life. Just as the danger around her intensified, tragedy struck at home. Mama Efunroye became seriously ill. The doctors demanded money the family simply did not have, and uncertainty filled every corner of their lives. Kunle appeared at the hospital with an offer that seemed generous on the surface. He would pay every hospital bill, but only if Morinike agreed to marry him. Faced with the possibility of losing her grandmother, she found herself standing before the most painful choice of her life. That night, Morinike could not sleep. Every choice seemed to lead to heartbreak. If she refused Kunle, her grandmother's life hung in the balance. If she accepted, she would surrender the future she had fought so hard to protect. With a trembling voice, Mama Efunroye asked to speak with her granddaughter alone. There was something she had hidden for decades, something she could no longer keep locked inside her heart. Flashback into her past, Mama Efunroye had dreamed of becoming a teacher. She loved learning and imagined a life filled with classrooms, books, and young minds eager to grow. But her family chose another path for her. She was forced into marriage before her dreams had the chance to bloom. She sacrificed her education, her ambitions, and the future she had imagined, convincing herself that duty was enough. With tears streaming down her face, Mama Efunroye admitted the truth she had carried for years. She had believed she was protecting Morenike, but instead, she had become the very prison she once wished to escape herself. Years of misunderstanding melted away in a single embrace. For the first time, grandmother and granddaughter truly understood one another. Love replaced fear, and honesty healed wounds that had grown for generations. The following morning, Morenike made her decision before the entire family. She rejected Kunle without hesitation. Silence filled the room as disbelief spread across every face. What had once been confidence on Kunle's face quickly turned into humiliation. Humiliated by rejection, Kunle struck back. False stories spread throughout the city. Opportunities disappeared. Friends grew distant. Every day brought a new attempt to break her spirit, yet she refused to surrender. Instead of hiding, Morenike chose courage. She carried the evidence to investigative journalists, trusting that the truth deserved a voice. The documents revealed a web of corruption that reached far beyond a single businessman. The story spread quickly across the nation. Investigations followed, arrests were made, and Kunle's empire crumbled almost overnight. The man who believed wealth could buy everything finally discovered that truth was one thing money could never own. Months turned into years, and life carried them in different directions. One afternoon, Chinedu returned with regret written across his face. The dreams of wealth he had chased had vanished, and he came hoping for a second chance. He admitted his mistake and confessed that he had traded genuine love for temporary ambition. Every word carried regret, but some decisions leave scars that time alone cannot erase. Once, she might have forgiven him without hesitation, but she had become someone stronger through every trial she had faced. She wished him well, then walked away, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. The years rewarded her persistence. The young woman who had once struggled for a few hours of computer access had become a respected software developer, building solutions that improved lives across Nigeria. Success became more meaningful when she shared it. Morenike established technology centers where young women learned to code, dream boldly, and believe that talent, not tradition, should define their future. Every student she encouraged reminded her of the frightened girl she had once been. Through knowledge and opportunity, she watched impossible dreams become achievable realities. One afternoon, Morenike stood before hundreds of aspiring innovators at a technology conference. Looking across the audience, she saw faces filled with hope, curiosity, and determination, the same qualities that had once guided her through uncertainty. She remembered the young woman who had stood between tradition and destiny, who had faced betrayal, heartbreak, and fear. Every painful step had shaped the strength she now carried into the future. Life, she realized, is not defined by those who disappoint us or try to control us. It is defined by the choices we make after disappointment, after heartbreak, after failure. Sometimes the greatest victory is not becoming successful. Sometimes it is refusing to become the person your pain wanted you to be. As the applause faded, Morenike lifted her eyes toward the evening sky. In her heart, she thanked the grandmother who had once stood in the way of her dream and who ultimately gave her the courage to protect it. Beyond the noise of the city, beyond the glow of computer screens and the rhythm of a changing world, it felt as though Mama Efunroye was smiling too. At last, a dream that had been buried for generations had found the courage to live.